Hey, Beachbody champions! Oh, I'm so excited to be on here today. I'm working from my luxurious office, also known as my family suburban. For any of you other moms, I'm sure you totally understand that sometimes your schedule has to go with your life. And so that's something I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk to you about really the top 3 ways that I've found from learning from my mentors and from really awesome people. And how to finish the year strong and how to really start January off in full sprint, not in just let's get started mode. Okay, so let's get started with about me. So my name's Wendy Spencer. I've been a coach for 3 years. I was an elite coach last year. As far as right now, everything is looking great for elite this year, but of course I'm not the type to count my chickens before I get the phone call from my corporate guy, right? I'm a single mom of 3 little ones, 2, 4, and 5. So my life is not boring by any sense of it. Beachbody is also my only form of income. So this is my life. My life before this, I was a college athlete. I have an engineering degree. But I am such a believer in what this business can do for you. It doesn't matter if you have degrees or no degrees. If you have the hustle and the heart and just the will to lead with your heart for your team, or for the people that you're helping, that sky is the limit. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Oh, I also blew my ACL last year. So if any of you have any questions about knee stuff, you can totally ask me. Okay, so let's get down to it. Let's start with number 1. For me, so number 1 for me is from the I Am Not Your Guru from Netflix. If you haven't watched it yet, please watch it. Tony Robbins. My voice is a little scratchy today because I just spent a whole week last week at Date with Destiny, which I'm going to talk about events for just a little bit. But if you haven't gotten to a Tony Robbins event or an event to really work on your mindset, I highly, highly encourage it. So Tony Robbins talks about something really seems so small, but it makes a really big deal. And this is the mindset I need you to think about as you're finishing the year. It's called the 2mm rule. What really separates the people who achieve massively great things from the people who are just mediocre is not massive action a lot of times. It's just doing those little tiny things consistently. So what I want you to think about in this time of distraction and so many other things going on, both in your personal life and with your business, how can you apply that 2mm rule? So like I said, it's going to make you just a little bit different, which those tiny actions are what can then propel you to greatness, especially in 2017. So think about and write down. Writing down is what makes the difference. Number 1, think about 3 ways you can do a little bit more with your inviting and your attraction marketing. Are you adding massive value just in a little bit more of a way? What makes you different and special? Because we're all different and special, even in this, this giant, business that we have where we all maybe sell the same products. Someone who wants to buy from me is very different from someone who, is, I don't know, a male or not a mom, or, write down the ways that you are different, you are special, and that you can apply that 2mm rule to inviting and your attraction marketing. So number 2 is, and I am a big proponent of this as I just got out of the Core to Force test group and I lost 22 pounds over the last, 90 days. How can you apply the 2mm rule to your workouts and to how you use and share our products? How are you being a product of the product every day? How can you apply the 2mm rule to that? How can you share a little bit more? How can you talk about how it's made a bigger difference in your life in just those little ways? How can you show up for yourself and your challengers and show them that you are using and absolutely being the best product of the product that you can be? Just a little bit more makes a massive difference. If I wouldn't have woken up every day and said, I'm going to do this every day and I'm going to go hard every day, just a little bit harder to push through, would I have lost 22 pounds in 90 days? Probably not. I probably would have gotten just average results, because whether you're in the test group or not, it's about showing up, just doing that little bit more to get massive results. Then number 3 is, how can you apply the 2mm rule to your personal development? Are you reading? Are you applying? What are you reading? Are you tweaking it to be ways that you need it to be for your business, for your team, for your weaknesses, for your customers? How are you applying it in that way? So focus on that. Again, write 3 ways that you can do this for each one of our, basically our vital behaviors. If you want to do one for recognition, which is of course extremely important at the end of the year when people might be feeling a little frazzled, how can you recognize and show your support to your challengers and to your team, to just show them that you're watching them, that you're seeing how they're pushing, that you see how they're showing up. Okay, so number 2 is to identify your influencers, your dream team, your customers, and your farm team. So before I went to Tony Robbins, you guys are going to laugh, I was at GoPro. I was at the 6-Figure Summit, and then I was at the GoPro event the week before that. And this was a big takeaway that I had from Eric Worre that makes the difference between, again, the mediocre people in the network marketing business and the people who go on to achieve 1 million, 10 million, $100 million earnings, is they identified who their influencers were. And the definition of an influencer is someone who just does it on their own, someone who is coming to you and asking you. You're not having to go to them, check in, hey, how are you doing? Why are you doing this? They kind of just have that inner drive. So take a look around and identify who the influencers are on your team. Do you have any influencers? And if you don't have any influencers yet, which especially if you're new and starting, you have to identify how are you being an influencer. So this was another big takeaway I had, is that most of the people who are massively successful in network marketing didn't have a really massively successful upline. I'm not saying to use this as a crutch. So if you do have a really massively successful upline, your goal should be to out hustle and outwork and run with that person. But really you need to think about the people who are massively successful. They showed up for themselves and they said, I don't care, upline, downline, cross line. I'm in this for me. So put your blinders on. Are you being an influencer? Are you doing everything you can to learn, to be a sponge, to be coachable? So think through that. And then once you do have your influencers, start making those emotional deposits. This is where you need to basically get to the best possible relationship that you can with those influencers on your team, to show them that you're willing to do anything you can to run with them. Again, you need to show up as an influencer yourself. Watch people's feet. Don't watch their mouth. So people can say all day long, I know we know this, people can say all day long how they're gonna do it or how they really want it, but if you're watching their feet and they're not moving, they're not an influencer. And also take a big deep look in the mirror to recognize if you are an influencer too. Is your mouth talking a lot more than your feet are moving? Look in the mirror and recognize that. So your dream team, again, this is the end of the year where you need to be making these emotional investments, these emotional deposits. Do you have a list of who you want your dream team to be? Those top 10 people. Are you talking to them? Are you scared to talk to them? You don't need to go out and invite them per se, but you do need to make sure that you are connecting with them and that they know that you are watching them, that you are invested in them as more than just potentially a business partner. So are you doing that? A, do you have your list? B, are you making those emotional deposits? Number 3, your customers. Who are the customers who've been always showing up for you? Who are your challengers that want to be a part of what you're doing, that are using our products, that may be stuck or that may be moving forward? And are they giving you referrals? How are you showing love and giving emotional investments to them? Because really, this is exactly why we started, right? Like we can all have these big whys that potentially could be our vision. But at the end of the day, if you're not pouring into your customers and your team and showing them how emotionally invested you are, then it won't come back to you. People want to know more about how much you care than how much you know. So make sure that you're just shooting them an email saying, hey, I know it's a busy time of year. I'm here for you. Whether you're stuck or whether you're rocking it, know that this is my role as your coach. Lastly, who is your farm team? These people might not be influencers yet, or they might not be able to see the vision and the big picture of really what our business can bring to their lives or what it can change in their lives. So who is that farm team of people who maybe have the energy but haven't been able to define it yet? Do you have a list of that? How are you making emotional investments? This does not have to just be for your personally sponsored coaches either. And it does not have to be for people who are just hitting Success Club. If someone has even started sold one challenge pack, or you see they're getting really great results. They're part of your farm team. So how do you invest back into them and make sure they know that you see them? I don't care if you've been a coach for, 3 weeks or 3 years like me. How are you doing that? So what we're doing on our team is I basically came to my squad. The Good Vibes Tribe is as our name that all of our leaders have chosen for our team. And we said, we're starting over. Today is day 1. And this was like a month ago. It was right after leadership. And we said, who wants to show up in 2017? I don't care if you've been with me from day 1 or if you just started yesterday. If you say you want to show up, I'm here and I'm going to be that person for you to help you show up. So we're calling it the Heart and Hustle Squad. And they're going to get separate attention from me based on action. So right now, before the end of the year, we're all reading the 12-week year, and we're getting our 12-week year game plan in effect now so that we can hustle and already be ready to run in January, on January 1 or January 2, whatever day you're starting. But we have this separate squad for our entire downline of people who say they want to show up, who have bought the book, and who are actually doing it. This is something I'll also be in conjunction with my success partner, Amy Coppola, just because sometimes you need to hear it from another leader, and you can also need that support from other people cross-line to be able to get new ideas. So how are you showing up for your downline or for yourself? How are you getting the next quarter into place now with your game plan of your visions, of your specific goals? How are you doing that now? It has to happen. Otherwise, you'll start the new year in a walk, and no one wants to do that. So this is number 3. This is the last one, game plan. And I know I just said, it's the 2 millimeter rule, but Eric Worre repeated this over and over. If he could give the best advice to anyone in our type of business, it would be to go bigger, faster. So whatever your vision is, whatever your goal is, whatever you want to do for your team or for your customers, how can you bump it up? Even that 2 millimeter rule, but how can you go bigger? And then how is that next step of how you can go faster? So think through, are you getting distracted this time of year, or are you setting yourself up? So let's talk about something big that was just released with Beachbody this week was Health Bet. I guess it wasn't released this week, but it is something that will be starting the 9th. And then with our new, all access BOD challenge pack, how are you potentially setting those up together to get people into the new year? So what I want you to think about, and this is what we've been doing, these are just some ideas that you can kind of, throw about, make it your own. But how can you talk to people and get them thinking about how much they're spending? What are they spending $99 on for an entire year? For me, I did a post, hey, do you think Amazon Prime is worth it? Easy one, right? Or let's say Netflix, or whatever someone spends about $100 in a year that really doesn't give back to investing in themselves. And so what I've been doing, anyone who commented on my Amazon post, which got major people looking at it, I'm doing a video chat, which a Facebook Messenger is a video chat. Now you're not just typing something out, you're making it personal. And I'm saying, hey, I think I love Amazon Prime. I think it's awesome that you think it's worth that $99. How would you feel about reinvesting that $99 into a year of yourself? Imagine a whole year where you had me as your coach and I would support you and you have access to every single program that we have. Would you think that was worth it? And leaving it open-ended like that. So you're not pushing, you're just getting people to think, hey, I'll invest $100 to get free shipping of stuff, or $100 to make myself hit all my health and fitness goals. So how are you transferring people's, out of their mind into their heart? Okay, so that's one way. Or say, do post how much is your gym membership? How much do you use it? Just kind of get people thinking about how they're spending their money and then how much they're actually using it. So that's an option as you're working into the new year. So the 27th, obviously that's in 6 days. You should be packing your calendar with people that you've already commented to, that you've already kind of started the conversation. So on the 27th, you can really move forward and have your calendar fully packed, which this is my next step of your game plan. Your calendar starting now and really through January, if not through the entire first quarter, you should have an hour by hour game plan for what you want to do. Yes, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. My schedule does not go always as planned, right? Like, this is life. But I can tell you that if I go to bed the night before and I already know hour by hour what my next day is going to look like, we'll talk about chunking in just a little bit, then I have a much better approach to hit my goals versus putting out fires all day and feeling extremely unproductive. Don't get me wrong, I am busy, but am I actually moving forward towards my goals? So when you're setting these appointments, a lot of people are going to tell you right now, oh, it's just too busy. It's the holidays. Oh my gosh, I've got family coming over. Or, I just don't have time to work out. So then you're going to follow up with the question, I totally get it. I feel exactly like you. When can we talk this next time? Can you set up your calendar with all of your new prospects, or your old, your coaches that might not be doing anything right now, or your customers who are ready for this next step? How can you fill your calendar with these people saying, okay, well, I know you're super busy. Let's talk on the 27th. I'll contact you on the 27th, or I'll message you on the 1st. Have your calendar fully ready to go with a list of all these people that you've already reached out to that have given you valid excuses in their mind. They might not be valid excuses to us, but this is our business. And how you can really then follow up, put a date, put it in your calendar, make sure that you do that follow up. The worst thing you can do is to walk into January with an empty calendar, and remember that. You will be starting in quicksand versus starting off at the track when the gun goes off ready to go. Okay, so let's talk about chunking really quickly. Really what you prioritize, this is the end, I promise. What you prioritize is what is scheduled. So I've had to learn this the hard way because I love what we do in our business. And I started our business when I had a 1 and a 2-year-old, and then a week later I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd. So 3 pregnancies in 3 years. Ideal time to start a business, right, you guys? And plus, I was living in Wyoming, population 75. In no way did I have a support system of people to help me watch my kids. So what I have recognized, though, is really what you want your priorities to be has to be on your schedule. So there are 4 areas that I want you to think about when you are setting these hourly schedules of what you want to do. You need to put your work hours in. Period. I know that some of us work more than this, some of us work less, but it needs to be at least an hour a day for your power hour. No matter what. I would suggest waking up before your kids if you have kids, making sure you have time post-children and for your spouse, because obviously your relationships are important, but making sure, number 1, have your work scheduled with times that you will be laser focused. My very top coach in my industry is a mom of 4 that still works full time, and I can tell you she's gotten where she is because she does her power hour, no joke, laser focused every day. She doesn't scroll through Facebook. She doesn't do any of the other stuff. She does it, she gets it done, and that's it. So number 2 is schedule your workout. If you're not being a product of the product and you're not getting results and you're not able to share the results, you are not being authentic and you are not showing up for your customers or for yourself, and people will not believe you. Okay, so number 2, you have to schedule your workout. Number 3, schedule your social life and your family, because at the end of the day, if we don't have anything to share besides Beachbody, people aren't going to want this life. This is attraction marketing, and you cannot sell your life if your life is a hot mess without any relationships or fun things to do. So number 3 is, this is what I do, and you can do it as you will, and maybe you'll think this is a bad mom card, but I'm getting over the bad mom guilt because I do my best, and that's the best that we can expect from other mamas, but is scheduling my time that I have with my kids. And when I have that time, my phone goes in the cupboard or it goes on silent, and I am not being distracted by dings or whatever it is. It is done. And the only time I grab it out is if my kids are doing something really cute, right? And I need to capture that moment. Otherwise, it is gone. My kids get my full focus. They get present. Really focus on being present in your work, in your workout, in your relationships, because that's where true fulfillment comes in, not just from hitting goals, you guys. So that's really what I want you to focus on this year. And then the 4th one is mental. How are you creating time for yourself? For your personal development, for your leadership, for your planning, for your actual usage of your personal development. This is essential. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So this was something as a mom, I always thought, oh, if I just give to my kids and I give to my husband and I give to my business, I will feel full. That is bull, and you will hit a point where you are struggling and you're not happy. And that's not what any of us want when we started this business. We started this business to find the most healthy and fulfilling lives for ourselves and to be able to give that to others too. So make sure you're scheduling that time. Remember, what you say your priorities are is actually what is in your schedule. So if you say my family is so important, but you're not putting that time in, but you see a lot of work stuff in there, or you see a lot of workout stuff, you're showing what it is. Or you say my relationship with God is so important, but you don't have it in there when you're spending that time in prayer, you're going to church, or you're doing whatever you do for your relationship with your spirituality, if that's your priority. How are you showing up for it if you're not making time for it? So to finish, this is the final thing I want you to think through, is what is your number one goal for 2017? If this happened, it would blow every other year out of the water. So what is that number one goal? And as Tony Robbins told us over this last week, you don't just say a goal, you become a goal. You don't just put a red Ferrari and $1 million on your goal list. It's actually who you become in the process of being able to afford that red Ferrari or $1 million or vacation home or whatever. So recognize, what is that number one goal? Who do you need to become in order to hit that goal? So what is the skill set you need to focus on? And so I have two things that really focus on that. For me, number one is I put a sticky note right by my bedside, and it says, before I go to bed every night, I look at it and it says, if my team did exactly what I did today, would I be proud? And you're either going to sleep really well or you're going to sleep really bad. How are you showing up for yourself first so that you can be a better leader, so that you can be a better person, to help your customers be a better coach? And then we all hear about the 10% tithing rule, right? Right now, I want you to think of what your income goal is for 2017. Is it $20,000? Is it $200,000? My thought process, and this is the best advice that I've gotten, is you need to reinvest at least 10% of your income back into yourself. So that is your personal development. That is getting to events. Because remember that getting to events and getting your team to events, that creates belief. And then getting to destination events creates leadership. So how do you want to show up for yourself, for your team? How are you reinvesting in yourself? Because that reinvestment of 10% pays off 30-fold, 100-fold. It's so much more than just reading a book, reading, words on paper. It's reinvesting in who you want to be and that vision of who you want to be. Okay, guys, that's it for now. If you have any questions, I'll be live. If you have any questions about my business or my life or my ACL, you name it, I'm totally an open book. I don't hold back. But I just wanted to say, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. This is a crazy time of year and I recognize that, but if you do just that little bit more, it pays off massively. This is not the time to roll into the holidays. This is the time to get set, take that moment, and be ready to sprint. Okay, have a really great rest of your week. Love you guys.